let's get stuck into a little bit from Mark Ogden of ESPN. So you probably wondered about tonight's stream title. It says, reliable source sparks more talk around Zubimendi. Well, Mark Ogden of ESPN, and somebody who I think is a very good journalist, has said a renewed move for Martin Zubimendi by Liverpool in January cannot be ruled out, with Arne Slot remaining a big admirer of the midfielder. Now, that was posted on the Anfield Agenda X account, of course, crediting Mark Ogden for the story. But also, it's building, right? Because it's not just Mark Ogden. You've seen David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano and others speak about Liverpool still being there for Zubimendi if he fancies it. Now, there's another part of this conversation that came out where I think it was one of our former players said that we cannot allow him to go to Man City. Like, if there's any indication that City are trying to sign him, we can't let it happen. We have to make sure that if Zubimendi does leave the Basque Country to come from Real Sociedad, it's to Liverpool. So, again, I'm waiting for David Lynch just to tell me that there's been even a little chink of light to say that Zubimendi is unsure or still hovering on the interest, because that would be us boxed off for the season then. If we could go into the January market, bring in Zubimendi, I'll be happy for the remainder of the campaign then. Look, you want to avoid injuries, of course, but other than the contract renewals, which we'll move on to in a while, I wouldn't say no. But I don't want to get my hopes up, because I can't lie to you, in the summer, it stung, didn't it? It was difficult. You know, so first we seen the links to Zubimendi and we're all like, oh, I can see that. That makes sense. Then you're hearing that, you know, talks are going well and he's never been closer to leaving Sociedad than he has been with Liverpool's interest. And then we're all waiting. And of course, we didn't get the outcome we'd hoped for. But it's still chugging along and it won't go away. Now, I don't know if journalists are feeling like because maybe Sociedad haven't offered him a new deal yet, or because Sociedad are kind of floundering around the middle of La Liga, that they feel like this move is possible. But, you know, there's enough top-tier journalists speaking about it that there must still be something there for us to at least hope for. That's my take on it anyway. Ty Carr said ESPN also mentioned Arsenal and City are interested. Absolutely. Look, Arsenal long-term admirers of Zubimendi. But again, I would say, like, if I'm Edwards and Hughes here, right now, there's a couple of things that would make the move to Liverpool way more sensible for Zubimendi. One, the position we're in the league and how well we're playing. Two, the fact that we really do need somebody in this position. Manchester City, you feel like when Rodri gets fit and available again, Zubimendi's minutes will be immediately limited unless they sell Rodri. You also don't know what the future holds for Manchester City around Guardiola and the 115 charges. And with Arsenal, you've only got really that Arteta connection there and the fact that Mikel Merino's there. And I think it makes sense. If he's going to come to the Prem, and look, this could be red-tinted glasses, I don't see why it wouldn't be Liverpool. Because it makes the most sense. You can see how hard Liverpool worked to bring you in. The admiration that's there. You can see that the role would suit you. You can see the style of football would absolutely suit Zubimendi as well. In Arne Slot, I've no doubt sit down with him and have a conversation, and Slot would absolutely convince him of his role and where he sees him in the team. So I'm feeling a little bit optimistic, but I don't want to get my hopes up, because I don't want to go all in here until I really get an indication that Zubimendi's is weighing up a move. Colin said Zubimendi hasn't got the balls to leave his club. Look, I do understand your hometown club. Remember, like, we're talking about Trent now and wanting Trent to stay at his boyhood club. Now, I know it's a bit different because Liverpool will be challenging for the top honours. So with Zubimendi, you can say, well, look, mate, you're not going to do it at Sociedad. You're not going to be able to challenge in the Champions League. You're not going to be able to challenge for La Ligas. The club's financial situation, where they're at, you know, there's no long-term real future there. For success, I should say. So, yeah, a little bit different. But look, I'll never go in on somebody who wants to stay where his family are settled and a club that's part of his blood. But if he does move, it's got to be us, surely. Nobody said he changed his mind. Exactly. And I've always been honest about that, mate. LFC, I've always been honest about that. Watch anything I've spoken about on Zubimendi. I've talked about journalist talk. I've talked about possibilities. But I've always said the same as you. I've yet to see any guarantee or concrete information to say he's changed his mind or he regrets not making the move. So you're right, mate. We do need to hear that before we can start getting overly excited about it. Jeff, how are you, bro? Welcome in and thank you for your super chat, mate. Appreciate you. Hi, Craig. Imagine this. Atletico Madrid, Zubimendi sit there, watch this video of the Basque Mountains, Liverpool FC, affect the mountains, look at the Premier League table. Well, it's not Atletico Madrid, mate. It's Real Sociedad. But again, affect the mountains. I'm with you on that one. You should just tell him about Nabsies in Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Tell him he can come see Anfield Agenda, the Hot Water Comedy Club as well. It's got all the festivities in Liverpool, mate. He can live that life in Liverpool. Do you realistically think the club will buy anyone in January? I think they would if the player's there, yeah. I think the money will be there. I do. So, when I get angry about transfers normally, it's because I don't feel that the backing is there. But I do think if they have identified the player, they'll try. I really do for this one. Like, I was asked at the live show as well, do I think that the Caicedo bid was real from Liverpool? And I do, because I can't see how they would have whittled out of it if he had have agreed to the move. Like, I can't see a world where they would have bid that much, fought to get him, then he says yes, and then we don't do it. I think they would have been absolutely slaughtered in that situation. So I think it would be a risk that I don't think has an upside for them. But yeah, I do. I think the money might be there, but I don't know if we're going to sign somebody or not. I just hope we're still not banging our head against a brick wall, feeling like there's nobody in the world out there. Because that I don't buy into. I don't buy into the fact that we can't find a midfielder who could complement Slot's system. Do you think it'd be wise to go back for Monday after he already rejected us? Oh, you mean Zubimendi. After he already rejected us. So, it would only be wise if he shows an indication, Al Hassan, that he's changed his mind. You know, we'd be very foolish to just throw everything at it and end up with the same rejection. It would have to be him showing a willingness to leave Sociedad. It would have to be pretty apparent that he wants to. And then you fight your case for it to be Liverpool. But yeah, I agree with you. If we ended up going after him again and he decided to stay on one more time, we would look like absolute clowns. Imagine signing Zubimendi and Marmoush in January. I'd lose my mind, said Ty. Oh, mate, they might as well just give us the league title if that was the case, you know. There's no, would we, blah, blah, blah. We would. We defo would. Aren't you a bit scared that Marmoush could turn out to be a one-season wonder? No, not at all. I haven't, because just watch him, you know. And I would say as well, the club would have more than enough data and metrics to back it up. No, I don't think he is a one-season wonder. I think he's just on a trajectory that's upwards at the minute. And, you know, Mo surprised me. You know, if we're going back to Mohamed Salah when we signed him from Roma, you know, I'd seen what he'd done setting up Edin Dzeko a lot over there and, you know, scored his own fair share of goals over in Serie A and, you know, at Fiorentina before that. But never, ever did I think that Mo was going to become what he has when we signed him. But that's testament to the man's work rate and professionalism. Kono said, but if we get Zubimendi, who's making it to the starting 11? So I think you're thinking too small there, mate, if I respectfully. You know, right now, we have Gravenberch. And I don't think anybody's suggesting that Gravenberch doesn't play. But he can play 65, 70 games a season. So we need to have somebody to rotate in for him. And also, sometimes Arna might want to play with two more deep line players, and maybe Gravenberch and Zubimendi could allow him to, let's say, get Gakpo and Diaz on in certain games. Or if we're away from home in Europe or something, he wants to be a bit more compact and control games a bit more, then maybe he plays both of them. But also, I would say, it would push the levels up of the midfielders at the club already. So, for me, it's certainly not about wanting to replace Ryan Gravenberch with Zubimendi. It's more about just making sure that if something happened, or if Gravenberch was suspended or picked up an injury, that we don't fall off a cliff, you know, form-wise. Ty Carr said, Zubi, Gravenberch with Maka further up, making those beautiful passes to our front three. Yeah, and it would also make sure that that competition hopefully pushes up the levels in training. So yeah, for me, I think just better to have more options than not enough.